Okay, we're back. Chocolate Fever, Chapter 10. Taking a Licking. They traveled for a long time. Lefty was driving very carefully, making sure he kept the big truck within the speed limit. From his perch up in the bunk, Mac was keeping a watchful eye on their route. Henry tried to keep watch too, but as the hours flew by, he found himself nodding. He was soon asleep, his head cradled on Mac's chest. As the first streaks of dawn appeared in the eastern sky, the big man was still holding his arms about the boy, cushioning his body from the shocks and jolts of the road. As the truck shifted gears and slowed, Henry's eyes opened. "Shh," Mac whispered, the finger held to his lips. "Where are we?" Henry whispered in turn. Mac put his mouth almost against Henry's ear before he answered. "Far out into the country," he said. "A long way from nowhere." "Now, when we get where we're going," he continued, "I want you to keep a sharp eye on me. Don't do anything sudden, and don't run. Let's just be very careful here." Henry nodded. He would follow Mac's lead and do as he was told. The big man was a person that he could trust, especially in a tight spot. They were traveling along a 2-lane road now, with just a few houses set wide apart. Lefty was driving the big truck very slowly, looking right and left at every crossroad. "Any time now we're going to turn off," Mac whispered. Henry agreed. They must be very close to the thieves' hideout, he thought. Lefty slowed the truck almost to a crawl and turned down a small dirt road. The truck bounced along the narrow track, turning right and left through the trees, and in a few minutes came to a stop in a grove of pines near a small wooden cabin. When Lefty had turned off the motor, Louis called up to them. "Gentlemen, we have arrived. Last stop, everybody off." Lefty and Louis opened the cab doors and stepped down out of the truck. "Easy now, you two," Louis said, as Mac and Henry joined them. "No sudden moves, no funny business, no tricks, right?" "No tricks," Mac said quietly. Louis had his gun in his hand. Henry could see. With the gun pointed squarely at Mac, the thieves led them into the cabin. It was one room, dirty and desolate looking. A wooden table and chairs stood in one corner, and Louis prodded Mac and Henry in that direction. There were no windows in the cabin, and no light either, until Louis lit a small lantern that hung from the rafters. Lefty pulled a chair over near the door and sat there, gun in hand, watching carefully. "Well now," Mac said, "what comes next?" "What comes next is up to you," Louis said. "Play it smart, and we leave you here when the job's over. Give us trouble, and just don't give us trouble." With that, Louis drew a chair over near Lefty, and the two of them fell into a quiet conversation. Lefty was angry, that much was clear. "What do we do with a load of candy?" they heard him say. Louis spent most of his energy trying to keep Lefty calm. "Looks like our friends over there bought a pack of trouble," Mac said to Henry. "Instead of furs, they got something they didn't want." And Henry, and they both had a quiet chuckle, followed by several minutes of quiet giggles. When their mirth had subsided, Henry asked Mac what was really going to happen. "I don't know," Mac said, "except for this. If either one of them tries to put a hand on you, I will personally lay them out flat, gun or no gun. So don't you worry, hear?" There was a kind of iron in Mac's voice now, and Henry was sure that when the moment came, the big man would be ready for it. Just then, out of the corner of his ear, Henry heard a faint and faraway sound. It could have been a dog barking. Mac heard it too, and the two of them sat quietly listening. It was barking all right, but now there seemed to be 2 dogs barking. Mac put his hand on Henry's arm. "No noise now," he said. "Listen." The barking got louder and closer as the seconds ticked by. Louis and Lefty heard it too. They stood near the closed door, listening for all they were worth. You had to be deaf not to hear the chorus of yelps and yowls. It was getting louder and louder with every moment. Keep them covered, Louis shouted. I'm going out to see what's happening. Lefty shuffled over to the corner where Mac and Henry sat, his drawn pistol looking them straight in the eyes. Louis, gun in hand, opened the door and froze on the spot, but only for a split second. For at the exact moment, a big German shepherd came sailing through the doorway and landed on Louis's chest. Louis was knocked flat on his back. His pistol clattered across the floor. Behind the German shepherd came a whole army of yelping, barking dogs, all heading straight for Henry. Airedales, Dobermans, a brown and white collie, several spaniels and setters, and a small French poodle. They were yelping and jumping and barking enough to fill the little cabin with noise and confusion. Lefty was stunned, speechless, absolutely confused by the dog riot that was taking place before him. But Mac knew what this was about. In a flash, he pounced on Lefty and took the pistol right out of his hand. Then he leaped to where Louis's gun had fallen and scooped that one up too. One gun in each hand, Mac whirled to face the pair of confused crooks. Louis was still on the floor. Lefty was surrounded by a pack of yelping dogs. Even if he wanted to run, he couldn't. Henry, of course, was the star attraction of the animal army. They were licking him as if he were some sort of new dog yummy. His arms and legs and face was covered with happy, licking dogs. So there's Henry. There's the thieves. Look at all those dogs. While this was going on, still more dogs were racing into the tiny cabin, and behind them came people, most of them with leashes in their hands, and all with a same puzzling story. They had been out walking their dogs when, one after the other, the animals had put their noses in the air, sniffed wildly, then began racing madly along the dirt road as if following an irresistible scent. Now what could have made those dogs behave so strangely? And what about those pistols? What was going on in this cabin anyway? Why did the place smell like a chocolate shop? It took about an hour and the arrival of the local police to sort it all out. Mac had a lot of explaining to do, but when it was all over, Louis and Lefty were handcuffed. As they were being led away, Henry heard Lefty mutter, "We go after furs and we get candy bars. We get to our hideout and we're invaded by dogs. It's getting so guys can't make a dishonest living anymore." Mac and Henry laughed together. As the police car turned out of sight at the end of the tree-lined dirt road, they were still laughing. "Come on, kid," said Mac, between chuckles. "We've got some candy to deliver." So that was funny. Next one is chapter 11, and I'll see you on the next. I hope you enjoyed this one.